So my understanding is that it wasn't extended, but we plan to borrow the money, to bond out the money before the expiration date, which I believe is sometime in October or November. So we're already in the works of going through the process of bonding those dollars so that we'll have those dollars available. We're going to continue to put together a plan, but as I mentioned here before, if we don't, that's a statewide bond. Okay, so those dollars could be spent anywhere in the state. Our priority would be to continue the process before I became governor to create those improvements in Providence, but it's time that we actually agree on a plan so that we can spend those dollars. So if it's not in Providence, we'll spend it somewhere else. But right now, we're committed to do it in Providence, and we'll be putting forward a plan, and we're expecting that would get endorsed by the city, and then we'll put those millions of dollars that should have been actually working on behalf of the transit in Providence area and the surrounding areas long ago. But that's the idea. We know it didn't get renewed. We're going to borrow the money, and then we're going to put together a plan to get the most value for the state of Rhode Island out of the dollars that we borrow. Yes, that's my understanding. All the time I was a mayor, we would make sure that we would bond the dollars, and that gave us the money, and then from that point on, we expended the dollars. No, as I mentioned before publicly, you're not going to get 100% buy-in on this plan, and you actually have to determine what the best course of action is. That's what we're going to do. That's what we'll be proposing, and then we're going to want weigh-in from people and determine exactly what we want to do. But you're not going to get 100%. It's pretty obvious you're not going to get 100% buy-in on what you're going to do here.
Following up on that, Governor, right now there's 0% buy-in from the community, right? I mean,
no, that's not accurate.
I think it is accurate. Every community group that deals with transportation, the Providence City Council, every other group I've talked to is 100% against the plan as it currently is.
I don't think that's accurate. We'll find out.
What groups do you know of that are for it? Because I don't know of any.
Yeah, so I've met with groups that are against it. They don't really have a proposal what they're for. So I mean, until we actually get a plan that they can have agreement on, then we'll move forward. But like I said, if you can't get agreement in the city, that's a statewide bond.
Right.
And there's many improvements that people are waiting on throughout the state of Rhode Island in terms of transportation.
Sure.
And so we're not going to let that money sit in the bank. In the bank accounts for very long before we commit how to spend it. So we'll bond those dollars before the deadline, which I believe again is sometime in October or November, sometime in the fall. And then prior to that, we'll roll out the strategy. If there's such pushback from the community as you say, we'll spend the money somewhere else.
So the idea was that we'll spend the money against the community's wishes in Providence, or we'll spend it somewhere else, but we're not going to do a plan that the community might be approved of?
Well, again, you got to determine. I mean, I've been in many conversations where the loudest voice is saying they're against something.
Right.
Right, like the SROs in Providence. Yet the majority of the students, the majority of the families that we've polled are for it, right? And the majority of the teachers and the administrators.
Is that poll
so
public?
you have to kind of see exactly, make a determination of whether it's the loud voice that's pushing the issue or whether the common interest of the community. And I think that we'll get that impression from again, the elected officials, of course. But again, if they are just objecting to a plan without having a plan, that's not a valid objection.
Is there
Governor,